Hi everyone, my name is Lex Gray. This is a simple top five list, why I enjoy solo RPGing. I've made a video like this before, I think like 6 months ago, and I've talked about it on and off throughout my 2 years of doing this, year and a half, 2 years of making these solo RPG videos. But the hobby itself is absolutely fascinating, and I'm really happy I hopped on the bandwagon and I'm trying to join the community, become part of it, and making videos. So this list is pretty simple. It's more personal. It's not like top five tips or tricks of solo RPGing. This is like what I've benefited after playing solo RPGs for some time now. So the list obviously is to me. It could be entirely different to you if you guys play solo RPGs yourselves. Some of these might relate, some might not. So, I'm not a I'm not a professional in psychiatry or therapy. This list is entirely to me. This is how I've feel like I've benefited so far. Hopefully, it inspires you or it relates to you. But um, I definitely want this to reflect well on the hobby itself. So the first one that I believe has greatly improved for me was self-confidence. Most of my life, I've been very closed off. I'm an introvert, not completely sheltered or shut off from society, but like I'm not very, I don't really go out there to approach and make new friends. I'm not really one to go to the clubs, the bars, in that kind of environment. I go more to conventions and bookstores and gaming stores, that kind of stuff. Obviously, that can pretty much sum up who I am as a person. But with my job, I'm face to face with customers and clients, and I have to maintain that persona when I go to work. So it's like a completely, I got to put the metaphorical mask on and be presentable. But on my off time at home, when I'm out and about at stores, it's a different time. I'm a different person, and so with solo RPGing, ironically, I feel like it's made me a better person and strengthened my confidence somehow. I don't know exactly how, but I've noticed an increase in my productivity at work, increase in my um, the way I speak. Excuse me, the way I speak to others. I was trying to say that ironically at the same time. How I with my job is very technical, so troubleshooting, obviously, and a lot of these can line up with the other items on this list. But essentially, confidence is required for most of my job, and I'm going to be referencing my job a lot because my job is not just a technical, but it's also has creative in it. So it's a live mix of live entertainment and hospitality. So the confidence is key, and I've been slowly moving up the ranks at in my company, and I feel like this has kind of helped. And I've noticed the past 2 years, especially after the pandemic, because that really shook things up for everybody, especially confidence. I think not just with work, but with everything else personally. So when the pandemic was happening, I was very closed off, and then re-entering the workforce, at least my career. I was still working through the pandemic, but not my actual career job. So when I was called back after 2 years, I had to, you know, adjust mentally and physically back to my pre-2020 job career. So confidence, I believe, was something I was lacking in when I came back. And when I found this hobby and was slowly dipping my feet in the water, I noticed a change. I was becoming more confident, more aware, and this is where we enter number two on the list, problem solving. So, strangely enough, in solo RPGing, problem solving and troubleshooting is a big part. Now, the strange thing in here is that when you solo RPG, you have to take on the persona of both the player and the game master, respectively. You cannot have the bias of both at the same time. You have to split yourself between the two. It's very hard. But when you are in the moment of Zen, you become the game master and you're setting up the problems. Then you become the player character. You then solve the problems. So I feel like even though the problems can be very simple, like a puzzle or like a combat sequence or trying to use your charisma, your character, especially if you're using an oracle where not all the context is coming from your own mind, you're simply getting ideas triggered from an oracle or from a table of content, a listed table of like locations, characters, personas, actions, verbs, action verbs, descriptors. Problem solving is something I feel like is a big integral part of solo RPGing, and I've noticed that and again, this is very in line with self confidence. With the confidence comes the problem solving. So at work, problem solving is practically a daily chore, and I've noticed the past 2 years I've become better at it. And I've mentioned this to my superiors and my coworkers. I've noticed. So that's another great thing about solo RPGs. Now, is solo RPGing the root cause of these improvements? No, but it's a big part. The rest is up to me as a person. But I feel like solo RPGing as a tool, as a hobby, has become a huge aid in all of this. So again, it's not the main reason, not the core, the core effort. It's just a big part of this list. Next is creativity. Three and four are about the same, but creativity, I feel like, is a good transition from problem solving to number four. And number four is imagination. So let's stick with creativity for a second. Especially if you're working in a technical job that has to do with live entertainment, cameras, audio, video, all that kind of stuff, lighting. Creativity is a huge part. So I feel like this is a byproduct of the first two in my list. It's not like directly linked to Solar RPG, but I believe it is a byproduct of the first two. I've become, or at least have regained my creativity because when I was a kid, or at least into high school, I was making short films, and that's where creativity was at my height of my life was making these short films for school and for projects and for clients, for commercials and PSAs and such. And when I entered in the 2010s and after post college and my career that I'm still in the same kind of job industry, it kind of has slid away. I haven't done short films as often anymore. I've been my group of my friends and I haven't we haven't made a short film in years. So we've been stuck at with our personal lives and work and family. But this has helped with the creativity. So coming up with those ideas, whether it's short stories or coming up with the ideas for the solo RPGs. So again, it has reignited that flame in my mind in helping generate content for my solo RPGs channels. If I'm not using an Oracle, especially if I'm not using a table. So creativity can kind of go both ways. It can kind of go into the solo RPG realm and also work. Four is imagination, like I said. Imagination, it's you can come up with these ideas. You can think of your character as a superhero. You can think of your character as a dungeon dweller, as a modern day secret agent, as a film noir detective. Anything. I believe my mind of imagination has gotten stronger as a person, and I hope it reflects on my videos, especially whether it's wargaming or my one shots. And even my Escobar campaign, I really hope the imagination factor kind of I do well in sharing it with you guys as my viewers to again share the experience, which I often put in my description to take part in the story because that's the purpose of my channel is to tell a story essentially. So imagination is key. That's the biggest component of a solo RPG hobbyist is to have that imagination because it is going to be a huge game changer for your videos, for your solo RPGs. I'm not trying to say you need to record, make videos. If you play solo RPGs on your own time at home with not recording it or whatever, however you do it, solo journaling, note taking, however, whatever the method is. Imagination is a huge part. I believe most people in this world have imagination. So I believe it's pretty natural. Um, and number five is one I've talked about before. It's fun. It's just fun, and I understand it's a niche market for people to try solo RPGs. Some people can kind of laugh it off and be like, "What are you doing? Why don't you want to play with a group?" To me, it's fun. It's like, why do I go to a convention, Comic-Con convention? Because we're all like-minded people. We are in the same boat, whether it's movies, pop culture, anime, comics, TV shows, manga. We all have the same kind of that appetite for entertainment. And it's just, it depends on how you pursue it. For me, it's fun. It's a hobby. Everybody has a hobby to some extent, whether you want to admit it or not. We all have a hobby, whether it's collecting cards, going to a shooting range, biking, reading. We all have hobbies in different areas, in different industries, in different manners. For me, for the most part, it's so, besides going to the movies, it's solo RPGing. This has become a huge hobby of mine. And there are times I take breaks, like break like a week or two. Um, but it's that can be a different video too, talking about taking breaks. But essentially, it's just fun. It's also a great time killer. If you find yourself, okay, let's say you do solo RPGing, but if you find yourself day to day just kind of scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, or social media for hours on end, maybe because you're tired, you had a long day at work, completely understandable. But if you want to try something else, if you're physically tired, but you still have a mental capacity to try something creative, do a session of solo gaming, a solo RPGing. I guarantee it is worth the effort. So again, not much physical effort required. You're sitting there, or if you're really into it, you stand up, you're thinking to yourself, what am I going to jot down next? We'll roll some dice. It is just so, excuse my language, fucking fun. I really enjoy it. It's so fucking fun. That's how much I love this hobby. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's a complete joy. And so that's really it for this video. I hope I've made my points clear. The first four are very broad. They're very general. They can really intertwine together, but I feel like the fifth one is the most important one. I feel like the order makes sense. So self-confidence, which is again, these are all broad. Self-confidence, that's something for day to day for all of us, whether it's at home or at work. Problem solving, which is in addition to that, springs off of your confidence. Creativity, when you're entering, your personal hobby outside of work, and imagination, which is a huge component, especially a hobby like this. Then at the end of the day, it's all just for fun. So I feel like that list is in a proper order of priorities. So that's it for now. Let me know what you guys enjoy about solo RPGing. Feel free to type away. I'll do my best to reply as I usually do. But um, there's really no defined list. This can always change. Here's my disclaimer. This can always change. This is my personal list. A lot of these are, again, very broad. This is how I perceive it. For you, it can be completely different. It could be a list of 10, 20 items. And that's what all that matters is how you guys perceive the hobby itself. Whether it's solo RPGing, wargaming, writing a short story, journaling, whatever you do when it comes to like in some fashion related to gaming, that's fine. Again, I hope this channel can find people that don't play solo RPGs at the same time, not just playing solo RPGs, but like who don't and are curious about the hobby itself. So if I'm your entry point into this hobby, welcome. Um, I'm not really the best to. I don't feel like I'm the best at that to like bring you in, like teach you how to play. I'm more just trying to enjoy the hobby on camera. That's really it for me. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.